let's get started with Photoshop. So what I do is I have Photoshop downloaded. Very simple. Go on Creative Cloud online, and then you can get it. There's a trial if you don't have. Can you see? Is everything fine? Can you see my screen? Just give me a yes. Okay. I don't know. Think about piracy and all of that. The thing is, I can't recommend it. But the thing is, what I would say is, Adobe has made it quite simple for people to Photoshop, pirate these things. Again, that's all I related. But yeah, I cannot condone piracy. So then again, so I would definitely recommend go on Creative Cloud, get your own subscription, and do it fairly affordable. But yeah, go for it. Now, this is Photoshop when you first open it. Okay, so this is your day one. This is basically like the back end view. What you do is you want to create your design. Okay, this is basically the first place where you start to set in your settings for your canvas. So you click on new. Once you click on new, here you can set in like what are the dimensions of your canvas. Now the canvas is where you're going to be actually doing the design. When you're doing this, you give it a name. You can give it a name here. This can be Discord session width. Okay, now here this becomes very important, especially when you're dealing with, say, when you're doing, say, designing for an ad creative for your Facebook ads or for your Google ads, or whether you want to just put it up on your Instagram. So, or if you want to do it, say, on YouTube, a thumbnail for YouTube, you want to do whatever. So that's when all of these dimensions come into play. For example, if you're doing it on your social media like Instagram, etc., you want to do something that's a square dimension. So generally the dimension is 1080 by 1080, or anything that's in the ratio of 1:1. What we're doing here is what 1080 by 1080 is one. It's a extrapolation of that 1:1 ratio. I'll explain what pixels is and what that is. If you're doing, say, for example, a thumbnail for YouTube, you would probably do it as 1920 by 1080. That is a different ratio. So for example, the width, it's more like a landscape mode. The width is more than the height. So whatever it is. So here we're going to stick with 1080 by 1080. Next, what are pixels now? Okay. Okay, I'll explain pixels. Stick to this. Number 2 is color mode. Color mode, you have RGB, then you have CMYK. So RGB stands for red, green, and blue, which is basically your primary colors. Not your primary colors, actually. That would be red, yellow, and blue. But it's like a standard format that most designers use. It's not just designers, anywhere. How you describe color. Basically, how much of red is there in this color. Every color has a certain component or something. So if it's, for example, brown has a certain component of red in it. So you say brown is this much red compared to normal red, which is full red. Okay, I hope you get that. The next thing is you have CMYK. CMYK is C stands for cyan, which is like a variation of blue. M is magenta, yellow, and I think K is just another. I just have to refresh it. I don't remember, but yeah, it's just another color format. So that's number 2. Now, what is resolution? The difference between, okay, so resolution is basically how you probably heard of these things called high res and low res. When you're doing something, for example, designing for your internet, anything on the web, you can stick to something which is 72, which is slightly normal resolution. But if you're taking something, for example, on print, if you're printing a poster, if you're printing a card or something that actually goes there, then what you would need is a slightly higher resolution, generally around 300 resolution. That's if you're doing something that's on print. But here we'll stick to 72 because we're just making one for your web. Next is you have your background contents. Okay, I'll explain what this is. Here you have different options. You can choose white, black, the background color, and background color is something that you'll have inside, or you can go with transparent. I generally stick to either white or transparent. Okay, so let's go with transparent so you'll get to see. Click on transparent. So I put the name of the creative. I've put the size, the dimension. I've told what it is. What are artboards? The orientation. Orientation comes in when I change this, and the resolution, color mode, etc. Now I click create. Once you click create, this is your canvas. Okay, this entire thing is your canvas, and this is how Photoshop looks like for the first time. For the first time, this might seem quite intimidating, at least, the whole black and all of these tools and etc. But to tell you the truth, it's very similar to something as simple as MS Paint. It's just MS Paint maybe on steroids. And a lot of the tools, especially in Photoshop, is you'll see there's multiple ways to do one thing, right? In Photoshop, there's multiple ways that you can do one same thing. So even though it looks like there are so many tools, when you start off, you don't you can achieve a lot of things just by having some of the basics in. Cool. So that's something that I want to cover. Guys, give me a second. This work from home thing is really annoying. Just give me a second. Yeah. Okay. So what I was saying is, where was I? Yeah. So don't get intimidated by the software. A lot of these I'll tell you what the different parts of this is also. But in the beginning, just understand it's like MS Paint and a little bit more. And then as time comes in, you'll be able to achieve more. There's this thing called the Pareto's law where you can actually achieve, 80% of what you want to achieve just by learning 20% of the tool, and that 20% you'll be learning today. Okay, so I hope you're excited about that. First thing that you want to do is I want to make sure that all of you actually see the same way that I'm doing. So you click on Window, you go to Workspace, and I click on Essentials, Window, Workspace, and Reset Essentials. So this way, all of you, if once you have done this, we'll all be on the same canvas. Okay, we don't need this. Learn Photoshop. That's why I'm here. So I'm going to close this. Let's close this. We don't need the libraries right now. This is how your workspace would look like. Okay. Now I'm going to explain the different parts. On the left here, you have your tools. These are the things that will allow you to do different things. We have the move tool. We have the selection tools. We have the paint and the gradient tools. We have typography. We have the pen tool, etc. On top, you have the menu section. Menu section you won't be using that much because most of that you will either be able to use through your shortcut keys, which I'll be showing, and otherwise you'll be getting them here. Okay, so it's just there. It's just another way for you to achieve the same thing. But yeah, there are a lot of menu tools that are different. But yeah, I'm just giving you like a quick understanding. Don't get overwhelmed. What I'm saying is like very little here. Here also it's like move. Then a lot of these are selection. A lot of this is painting. Don't worry. On the right here, what you have is something called the layers panel. Okay. Now, the concept of layers is something that's very important whenever you're doing any design software. That's one of the most basic things. And it translates into so many softwares. For example, if you're using Photoshop, there's layers. When you're using your After Effects, there's layers. When you use Blender, there's layers. Anyway, when you're using any 3D software, there's this 3D software I use in dentistry. It's called 3Shape. In 3Shape also, there is this. Layers are there. So everywhere you will notice that layers is a common pattern that you'll notice in a lot of dentistry. And I'll tell you what layers basically is. There's a concept known as constructive and destructive and non-destructive designing. What is non-destructive and destructive designing? So destructive designing is, I'll show it to you. Most of these things, what I'll do is I'll show it to you so you get an understanding. Destructive designing is when you affect the pixels and that cannot be retrieved. Whereas non-destructive designing is when you can actually make a change onto what you're doing onto your canvas, but that change can also be reverted. Okay, so you're not destructing anything, you're not actually destructing the pixels. So let's get started. Here what we did is we have like a transparent background. Whenever you start, have this transparent background there, and what we're doing is your layers are stacking one on top of each other. Okay, your layers start to stack one on top of each other, and I'll show you why that concept is very important. I mean, the first thing that when I first picked up Photoshop, like the guy who tried to teach me, what he told me was, there's only one thing that you need to understand, and that's layers. And once you understand layers, everything is sorted. There are different types of layers also. So you'll notice here, there's something called your fill layers or your adjustment layers. We'll go into that also. So let's get started. I want to start doing some designing because it's been a lot of gyan. Okay. First step, what I like to do is I create a new layer. Okay, I'm going to just call it background. This is my background, and let me call it transparent background. Okay, this is my background. I'm going to leave it there. Next, I'm going to create a new layer. Quick way to create a layer is you can just click on this button here. There's a plus icon here. Create a new layer. Once you create a new layer, I've now created this, but you don't really see it, right? But I'll tell you what it's done. Let me add some color onto this layer. Okay, let's choose a color, say white. Okay, now what I'm doing here is this is called the hex code. This is like a code for the color. Every color has a specific code. So that is what I'm doing this. You can even specify the color based on these. So your HSB stands for huge, saturation, and brightness. That's a different way you can actually communicate your colors. Then there's RGB. You can use your hex code. That's also fairly enough. So 255, 255, 255. That's how RGB is done. So RGB colors are represented in terms of a value between 0 to 255. 255 being like when all the colors mix, you get white. Cool. So here we're just going to do FFF. I click OK. Now I have chosen the white color here. Got it? This, if I want to set onto the screen, there's a keyboard shortcut called Alt Backspace. Once you write Alt plus Backspace, this fills that layer up with whatever is there on this setting here. Cool. Your foreground color. How to switch between, say, white? You can have two colors here. One is your foreground and background. You just use the shortcut key X. When you click X, it keeps switching. Okay. So if I wanted to make this black, I click Alt Backspace after I put the, this is black. Okay, let's go back. I want to stick with white for now. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to start. Okay, so one of the common things that you've probably seen on Photoshop is the way someone crops their head into another person's body, right? They use it in memes, they use it everywhere. And that's one of the first reasons that I wanted to use Photoshop, because you can use a lot of the things that you see here, you'll actually be able to do it in different softwares. But in Photoshop, this was something cool. I would be able to crop my head into someone else's head. So we're going to try doing that. Okay, I'm going to try and make myself into Batman. Okay, and then I'm going to make it in the form of a carousel where we explain myself. Okay. Okay, so when I said carousel, I'll tell you what a carousel is. You go here. This is now one artboard. So you click on layer. I click new, and I click artboard. This now is going to name my artboard. So I'm going to call it main or screen 1 of carousel. Okay, and I click OK. So now I have this. You probably see, you might think, okay, what exactly happened? But I'll tell you what. Now when I click on this, I have the option of adding multiple artboards around me. Okay, I can add another artboard here. Now I have two artboards. I can name this artboard differently. So this is going to be my screen 1. So when you use like a carousel, whether it's a carousel ad on Facebook ads or even it's your Instagram post, you have different artboards. I can now connect this to this one. And if I'm making like one cohesive design, it will translate into both. And then you probably see it. So when you see it on your phone, you'll see one. Then when I click a swipe right, I see this too. You can add as many artboards as you want. You can even add them below. It just allows you to have like multiple designs within the same page. It's very similar to what you say, probably like a frame on Figma. Okay. But here we don't need all of that. I just need to, we'll start with one and maybe we'll move on to another one later. Cool. Okay. So you understood what an artboard is, and this is how you create a carousel. So let's try and make myself Batman. So what I'll do is let me import a picture of myself. Let me go on open recent. Okay, there's one here. Okay, so this is just a normal image that I've taken of myself. Don't worry, the other one is here. Okay, so our original file is here. When I bought in an image, I brought it here, and now I have this image of myself. Okay, and I'm going to try and make myself Batman. So here I don't look that buff or like very Batmanish. So this is number 1. But I just need my head. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. Next, let me go on and find an image of, say, a Batman body. Okay, which one looks good? Okay, I probably need a PNG file. And this is how you get a PNG file too. Okay, let me find a good Batman image. Okay, this guy looks nice. Okay, and it's a PNG image. And the way I knew it's a PNG image is when I looked at it from afar, it was white, but when I clicked on it, I can see that it became transparent, which means only this is there. Now I click on it, I click say copy image, go on to Photoshop, or actually what I'll do is I'll tell you how you can actually take these images. Click save image, name it Batman. Okay, I get a PNG image. This I think probably has some copyright in it because yeah, but here I'm not going to be doing anything with it. I'm just going to show you the skills. Afterwards, we're going to delete it. Otherwise, you can use tools like Unsplash, Pexels.com, all of these free softwares where you have free websites where you get a lot of free PNG images. What I'm doing is I'm going to save it. Now I have this image here. How do you do it? From here, just drag it onto your Photoshop, bring it on top, and I have Batman over here. Okay, again, in each of these canvases you have all the layers, etc. Okay, I'm going to bring this guy onto my main canvas. I click Control C, I go into this layer, come here, and I just click Control V, and now I have Batman onto the layer which has the white background. Okay, next what I'm going to do is there's a concept of transformation. Okay, now transformation is basically being able to increase the size of this image, decrease the size of the image, warp this image, distort this image, add some perspective to this image. All of these things you'll be able to do with the transform tool. Okay, and transform, the shortcut key for transform is, okay, why am I teaching you shortcut keys? You will understand a tool exactly when you start to learn its shortcut keys, and these few shortcut keys that I've told you, like alt backspace, X, uh, Control T, that we're going to do right now. Just learn a little bit of these shortcut keys because this will help you later on also. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click Control T. What now has happened is I have these anchor points where I can start to transform this image of Mr. Ben Affleck, the Batman. Here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the size. I want myself to be a little bit more visible. Good time for me to introduce a concept known as raster versus smart objects. Okay, let me tell you what that is. Okay, let's do this where okay, so you've seen that I'm able to increase the size, decrease the size, and do all of these things, right? But as you see, when I'm increasing the size, uh okay, this is now Ben Affleck is an increased size of Ben Affleck. This is a raster image. What I'm going to do is I'm going to imagine you take, and I'll tell you what the difference between a raster and a smart object is. If you take this image of Ben Affleck and make him really tiny, okay, you make him really, really tiny and you keep him here or any, okay, and now you click, all right, okay. Now we have tiny Batman. Now let's increase the size of Batman. Okay, I'm increasing the size of Batman. What has happened? Now Batman looks like something happened to him, right? Something happened. Joker's done some magic to him or whatever. Okay, ignore the poor joke, but whatever. The point is, in a raster image, so the concept of raster and vectors are smart objects. Rasters basically are, they contain the, okay, so you expect, Photoshop to be able to actually understand, like what we have done here is nothing, right? All I've done is I took an image that was this size, I made it chintu. After that, I increased the size, and suddenly all the data that Batman had before is now gone. The reason is because it's a raster image, and what Photoshop is doing is when I tell it that I just wanted as a raster image, it assumes that I just store the color data, whatever color data is there, or the pixel data, store that. Whereas if I had done it differently, okay, let's delete this. Let's delete this. I'll take the same guy, Control C here, and I bring it here, Control V. If I had made this a smart object or a vector object, whatever, what happens is in a vector, if you've studied your mathematics, you'll remember is where you vector. It's math. Okay, yeah. You're storing the data of the image in terms of some mathematical value. In terms of some mathematical value, that is what you do as a smart object. Okay, so what you can do when it's a mathematical value is you'll be able to scale it. You'll be able to scale it indefinitely and make it really small, whatever, and the data does not get lost. Okay, so what here I'm going to do is, just a second, guys. Yeah. So what I'm doing is when you make it like a smart object or a vector, I'll be able to extend this and make it smaller and back, and no difference happens. How do you make it a smart object? Go on to the layer, click a right click, and here you have the option of convert to smart object. Okay. This has been converted to smart object, and I know this because there's a small, a small design or small icon here just next to this layer. Okay, like the thumbnail of the layer has this small icon. That's how you identify a smart object. Now in a smart object, if I do the same thing where I click the Control T, I make it really small. Okay, and now if I want to make it, I'm moving him around, he's flying around, and I want to make him bigger again. None of that data is lost. Batman still looks the same, right? So this is a fundamental difference between smart objects and raster objects. Why is Photoshop doing it? A lot of important is just the way that they store data. Like I said, in rasters they store the color pixel data, whereas in smart objects they show it as a mathematical formula which you can extend. Smart objects, however, if I wanted to do some form of an editing on it, right? I take a brush and I have like a color. I want to, make. I want to give Batman like a mustache. When I click on it, Photoshop tells me that I can't do anything. That the smart object must be rasterized before proceeding, and the edit content will no longer be available if I raster it. Right? The edit contents will no longer be available. So if I wanted to edit it, I would have to go back and make it a raster. What we did right now. Now I can give this guy a mustache, Mister. Batman. I can give him a mustache. Oh, sorry, it's a wrong mustache. 100. Okay, now Batman looks like some, nice Indian mustache guy. Okay, again, apologies for the PJs, but you get the point. Okay, now how did I? One of the things that I wanted to show you is how did we transform this, right? How did I zoom in and zoom out so quickly? Control plus and control minus. So control plus allows me to zoom in, and you can see these squares are your pixels. Okay, because it's a raster now, I can see the pixels in it, right? Each of this image is basically just once, I mean, it's like a collection of so many squares, and each of these squares are just one color, right? This is like one green, this is like a lighter green. When all of this comes together, it becomes one large image. Okay, so when I zoom in really close, I can see so much of closely how the pixel looks like. I'm doing control plus. If I want to go back, I click control minus. Now I don't know exactly what to do. The quick shortcut is just click control 0 and it fits to the screen. Okay, so 3 shortcut keys. Write them down if you have a notebook. Quick way to remember. You write control plus, control minus, and control 0. If you have once now we have gone control plus and we've gone really close to the screen, and I want to move. Now I want to go to his head, right? I don't want to see his crotch. What I do is I click on the space bar, and now I have the hand icon come in. What hand allows me to do it? It pans. It allows me to pan across the screen. So what you did before, we zoomed. Now what I'm doing is I'm panning. So you need to know these terms, pan, zoom, etc. Very useful, especially when you learn something like Blender. Also, it'll come into place. Okay. So now I can go to different parts of my artboard and edit it, see how it looks like, etc. I want to go back to fit on screen. I click Control 0 and we're there. Cool. Okay. Already we've learned a lot of things. I hope it's not too overwhelming. Is everything fine? Are we following? Can you guys just say a thumbs up maybe on the Art and Design channel just to know that so far you've understood something? Okay, lovely. Fantastic. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so now we have Mr. Indian Batman. Now I'm going to make him truly Dr. Elson Batman. Or today I'm not going to be Dr. Elson, I'm going to be Designer Elson. Okay, I'm Designer Elson today. All right. So what I'm going to do is I want Batman to be on one side of the screen. So first what I'll do is just go back. Let's start from scratch. Okay. I'll make him a smart object because I want to increase the size for now. I'm going to click Control T and I'm going to put him on one side of the screen. Okay, I'm going to put Mr. Batman on one side of the screen. And all of these aspects of where to put, how much space to get, etc. That's what that comes with practice once you start seeing a lot of designs, etc. But here I'm just going to do this because I'm going to put some text here. Okay, I click and enter here. So now I have Batman. Maybe I'll show him a little bit of hand. Okay, great. This looks fine for me. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to remove this head and I'm going to put my head, right? I want to put my head here. So, one of the most beautiful tools of Photoshop, the most beautiful. Okay, someone's asking, what does Control T do? Control D allows you to transform. And transform is not just resizing, etc. You can do multiple things, like you can scaling is what we did, which is resizing. You can rotate. I can make Batman a little tilted. Okay, now Batman is looking at us in a different way. I can skew, I can perspect and distort. Distort is basically, now look at this. Now Batman looks like he is looking at you from a different angle, right? You're distorting. You're able to distort. You can do it in different areas, right? Another thing, what I can do is I can probably add skew. Skew, what basically it'll do is it'll make it into a 9 grid. Wait, I'll have to. Sorry. Control T. Perspective. Yeah. Wait, no, I'm looking for warp. Sorry. Warp makes it into a 9 grid. And I can now make my Batman a little thinner. Okay, but I don't want to do that. The reason I'm going for Batman is because he's bigger. Where do you use this? See, one use case, for example, is say you want to design like a mug, right? A coffee cup, and the design on the coffee cup. Now, the coffee cup example will have like a curved, like the coffee cup is curved, right? The mug is curved. So you want to curve the Batman around it. So, for example, if you do that, I can now, curve Batman, etc. around it. So, various transformation tools. You can flip horizontal. Now, in some images, you'll probably see, like, if you're looking towards the right, I can make it towards the left. Here, it's not very different, but you get the point. Now, let's go back. And whenever you transform, don't forget, this is very important. Whatever transformation you do, you have to do this. You have to click the check mark, or you need to click enter. Okay, so for example, if I've scaled, and if I don't click enter, it does not happen. All right, it'll just, if I click another thing, nothing happens. What you need to do is you always need to just click enter or whatever. Do this, the check mark. Okay, cool. Where were we? Okay, I'll attend to your questions in the end. I'll try and do it, but what I'm going to do is Control C. I've got Batman here. Control T. I'm going to increase the size. Oh wait, sorry. Let me make my smart object first so that I can go to smart object. Control T. Increase. Put them down. Okay, this is where we are at. Cool. Okay, number 2. Now, what I wanted to touch upon is something called a selection. Selection is where you can actually start to very simply select a part of this image, and then you can start to make effects to it. You can delete certain parts of your selection. You can add on to your selection. All of these things. Selection is very important. One of the most basic things in Photoshop. There are different ways you can actually do selections. One is rectangular marquee, where you have not just, okay, these are called your marquee tools. And once you long press on a tool, you'll get to see the other parts of this tool also. If you do a short click, you get to see what is on top. But if you long click, whenever there's like a triangle, you can probably see like a small triangle just on the bottom right of that tool. If you long press on it, you'll get the other parts also. So a rectangular marquee tool will allow me to make a normal selection like this. But if I want to do something more freehand, okay, if you want to do rectangular, same thing with the elliptical, I can do this. Whenever you want to use something like an ellipse, if you use shift, it makes sure it's uniform. And if you use alt shift, it makes sure that whatever you're doing, it starts from the center. Okay. But here I want a little bit more precision. I don't want it to just be, I don't want this white bit and this part to be selected. I want only the face to be removed. Okay. Okay. So then another tool is called your Lasso tool. Lasso, what it basically allows you to do is it allows me to freehand draw it. Now, if you have a graphic tablet along with you, you can do it where you can just, draw around Batman with your freehand. I do that. I make him Batman. And I close, and now that has become a selection. You see these ants, these dot that is moving around. That shows me that this is a selection. It's called, your walking ants or something. So this shows me that it's a selection. But here again, if you notice, it's not very perfect. I've not been able to select perfectly, right? So this is not going to cut it for me. How do I delete a selection or deselect? You use Control D. The shortcut key is Control D. So I click Control D, and now I don't have that selection anymore. Okay. So what I do is, first, let me make this up. I'll show you this. What now here comes in two of the most commonly used tools for selection. One is your quick selection. It also has your magic wand in it. And the other one is your pen. Now, pen tool is not just limited to selections, but you can also do selections with it. The most commonly used, especially if you're designing really quickly, is your quick selection. Magic wand, what it'll do is it'll select based on color. So it sees, okay, this is black. Now it's going to select everything that is black. And if you want to say, select more, what I'd say is I'll increase the tolerance. Okay, tolerance basically tells don't just select black, maybe select a little bit of gray also. So if I click and I increase the tolerance, say to 85 or 87, now if I click, almost the entire thing gets selected. Everything except maybe very goldenish things. But most people don't really use this. This is just people that if you're doing very quick designing and you don't need to be very precise, that's when you use this. But in general, you want to use better tools for selection. Ideally, the pen tool, especially if you're doing it professionally, or a quick way is your quick selection. If you can work around your quick selection, that also helps. So we'll do quick selection for now once, and I'll show you because I'm going to explain the pen tool differently. Once you click on the quick selection, you see like this circle with a plus on it. It looks like a brush for some reason, and on top you have like three different options, right? You have the new selection, you have add to selection, and you have a negative selection. New selection means for the first time if I'm doing it, I click on this guy's head, I've selected this much, but I want to select a little bit more, right? So Photoshop has told me, dude, I think based on what you clicked, I can select this much. But I'm like, no, bro, I want to collect a little bit more. So if you want to do it, I click the plus. It automatically shifted to plus. So I'm like, okay, select this also. Okay. Now, when you start to get, you notice like when I clicked on it, it tried to select a little bit more. So what happened is now I'm getting scared. I don't want it to select everything. You can resize the size of the brush. Okay. How do you resize this? Is icon, the square bracket, your opening bracket, opening and closing of your square bracket. Okay. The square bracket is the one just next to P. If you're using a normal QWERTY keyboard, there's the P, the keyboard letter P. And on the right, you have just next to it, you have your open bracket square and your close bracket square. When you click the close bracket, it increases the size. Now, if I click on it, everything will get selected. But if I don't want to do that, you can click your small. You can resize. You can zoom what we did before. You can pan. And now I can maybe select. Hopefully, this will select a little better. Okay. And I want to select this guy's face also because I want to remove that. This. Okay. So far, so good. This is good. This is not bad. I can resize it even. I mean, make it smaller. Okay, this is good. This is good for me. I will be able to work with this. Oh, okay. So now something funny happened, right? It started to realize that Elson, you're not too careful. So it started to take some selections here also. How do I go back? How do I remove some of this without actually having to start from scratch? Here you have the option of deselecting some of parts. Okay, subtracting from the selection. A quick shortcut key for that is just click Alt. When you click Alt, it automatically when you have say a plus and you click Alt, when you're pressing down on Alt, now I can quickly do it. Okay, this makes things faster. Like shortcut keys make your life much faster. And when you're doing this, make sure these small dots here and there, that also takes into account, because if you don't do that, that will affect your design later on. So here, let me try and go back to where we were. Okay, I think I can do with this. So Mr. Batman's head, I'll remove it. And I'll tell you what I mean by remove it. Okay, now I'm going to resize the image, go back to a normal screen. Now, I want to make this into a different layer, and I'll tell you why. Because I want to delete it, but I want to still have that data with me. Okay, but this is a smart object, and if I try to do any kind of work on it, it happens. And how do I see this? Okay, this is eye icon. What exactly happened? Okay, so I click Control J. Okay, you can either do that or you can do Control C, Control V. Control C, Control V will do the same thing. But otherwise, you just click Control J, and whatever selection it's done, it'll create that selection in a new layer. What do I mean? When I click Control J, right, I have made a new layer. Observe what happened on the right. If I show, this is what has actually happened. This is how I have actually selected. This is the Batman that I've actually selected. Okay, so this is a selection. That's what I did. I click Control J, and how do I go back, undo and forward? Undo is your Control Z. In older versions of Photoshop, I think it was Control Alt Z, but now it's just Control Z. What I'm doing is, this is the eye is basically toggling between what is visible and what is not visible. Here I'm just trying to make this visible, so that's it. So what I'm going to do is, I have this and we have Batman here. So I just wanted to show you how to select a particular, I mean, convert that particular selection into a different layer. Okay, done. Just a second, guys. All right. Okay. All right. Why did we do that? Let's go back. Okay. And you might see, okay, what's the difference? Okay, in this perspective, when I toggle between this and this, you're noticing nothing happened. No. Here's where, if I use this move tool, and here the shortcut key for move tool is V. Okay, so I can now move. I have dual Batman. I have, like, two different versions of Batman, like two heads of Batman. If I want another head, I click on Alt and then I duplicate that. So now I have, like, Batman's gone, like three-headed Batman. Okay. So yeah, it might look like even when I click Control G, nothing actually happened, but there's a layer that's on top. There's a Batman face layer on top of this Batman. Okay. Got it? Awesome. What I'm going to do is, I don't really need this. I'll just go here. I'm going to just delete that layer. Oh, sorry. We do need that. Okay. And what, if you want to go back to a selection, what I did is just click Control and click on the thumbnail, and it will click that selection. It will select everything that's there on that layer. Okay. So what you do is this. I have that, and I have Batman here. What I can do is, I can go here, in fact, and I'm going to delete that. But here they're saying, because it's a smart object, I can't. So I'll make it a raster. Now let me try and delete it. And now Batman's head is deleted. But you can't see it? No, I'll show you what. Let's deselect. What is the shortcut key for deselecting? Control D. This is the layer that we did in front. This is Batman's head in front of you. Okay? Know that. This is not the other Batman. So actually, Batman's head has been removed. Cool? Doing very poor selection, but we'll do better selection. Don't worry about that. Okay? Cool. So I've deleted the Batman. I don't need this. I just kept it here for reference. In case I want to go back to the head, I have it always. For now, I don't need it. And I'll just keep this somewhere behind. I don't really need it. Cool? Batman head. And always name your layers. Good practice, do it. Batman head. Especially once your file becomes really huge, you'll need to know this, okay? You'll need to know the names of these layers. So Batman body. So now I have a Batman body. Should I clean it up? You can clean it up in various ways. You can just probably use like an eraser. Okay, you can use an eraser tool, which is, where's the eraser? Yeah, this one. Click on the eraser, click on Batman body, and just erase it. I've cleaned it up a little bit more. Okay. Alrighty. Now I want to bring my face onto it. So we went here, we got my face, and I want this guy on that fellow. Okay. Now, like I said, there are various ways you can actually do selection. We explored your Marquee tool, we explored Lasso, we explored quick selection or magic wand. We can also do, like, Photoshop's come up with this cool new thing which is called, you click on select and you click subject, and it will do the math and it'll be like, hey, this guy here is the subject. Okay, so it loaded and it automatically told that else in here, this fellow is the subject. Right? Very quick way of doing selections. I sometimes use it when I'm like in super hurry, but don't recommend it. But for now, because I'm just here to teach you guys what the dashboard looks like, go ahead. You can go ahead with this. Cool. Okay. Well, let's probably make it a little bit more. Let's use quick selection. Let's not get too lazy. Click on this. Try and get face. Okay. Do I have the neck in that one? I don't think. Batman has a neck there. Okay, Batman doesn't have a neck. Okay, let's see. So I'm gonna probably have to, remove a little bit of this. So Alt, I remove a little bit of that selection. I get this. Now I have that. A little bit of the hair is not perfect. Fine. Don't pay too much attention to it. This can be much better, but I think there's a nice video on how you can actually do this when once you know all these tools, you'll be able to improve your fidelity and how well you actually design by looking at good tutorials. Okay. Someone's asking how long is the session. I have a meeting at around 3, so before that I'll wrap it up. Maybe another half an hour to 1 hour. All right. So now we have else in here. Okay. There's a lock here. Basically, the lock tells me that I can't really do anything. Um, I can't make any edits to it. But now I have the head. I did the Control J. Okay. Same thing. Control J. And I have the floating else in head. Now I'm going to bring this floating else in head onto my Batman. I click Control C. I go here. Control V. Whoa, that's huge. I'm going to click Control T and I resize it. Nice. I'm almost Batman with a really long neck. I'm Batman with a really long neck. How do I make it? Okay, now Batman has a really long neck. It looks a little odd, right? But I'm going to show you a trick on how you can fix it. Right now, what happened is like Batman is in, I mean, the Elson head, the designer Elson head is in front of the Batman body. But if you want to make it different, like right now the head looks, the neck looks really weird. What I can do is I can make the Batman body in front. Like I can stack that layer in front of me. Now this looks a little bit more realistic, right? A little bit more. Obviously, the Batman selection can be a lot better, but here we're not going to focus on these small things. I'm here to just show you. You want to make it better, you can probably just erase it a little more cleaner. Whoa, man, I'm looking like Batman. Fantastic. I started to look like Batman. Okay, this looks pretty much like Batman. Like, all right, okay. Now I'm starting to look a lot funny, a lot cooler, like Batman now. But this Batman looks a little off. I think I need the Batman mask. So here I want to introduce a concept called layer masking. Okay, layer masking, and I'll tell you what that is. So let's find and okay, layer masking and mask are not exactly related, but I'm going to explain layer masking with the help of a mask. Okay, so let's try and find an image of a mask, a Batman mask. Batman mask PNG. I found Batman mask. What mask should I wear? Okay, let me take this guy. This mask looks nice. Is it a PNG? Yes, it's a PNG. You saw it's white background, but when I clicked on it, I could see the transparent. Okay, this checkered board that showed me it's transparent. Click on it. I click copy image. I take it to my Photoshop and I click paste. Nice. I have this. I'm gonna bring it up. Yeah, wait a second. Okay, let me resize the mask. How do I resize? Control T, resizing, scaling, whatever. I'm gonna put this on my face. Okay, I'm gonna show you what I'm doing here. I've put like a face here. I put the Batman mask, but again, this is not perfect, right? Because you notice what is this black thing here? So to fix this, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use something called a mask. This is the masking tool layer. Let's see how we can do this. Let me select just this mask. Okay, so let me just go here. Select the mask. Oh wait, what happened? What happened here is I'm trying to work on this, but my Batman body is selected. So that's like this is a commonest issue that you'll face where you need to know which layer that you have actually selected. Pay attention to that. Here, let me resize it. Now check because this is the only layer that has fantastic. I got a decent looking Batman mask. Let me resize. Let me increase the size. Okay, big mistake. Control Z when I want to go back. Control plus to zoom. Space bar to go to the right. Reduce the size. Okay, okay, not bad. Again, this is like quick work. Never for selection. Here, I just want to show you to actually making mistakes. Okay, now we have selected this, but I don't want this black part of the eye to be selected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to negate that. Again, square bracket right to increase the size of the brush. You do Alt, okay, Alt, and I try to remove the eye. I remove the eye again. Fantastic. Now here's where the mask. I click on Add Layer Mask, and now Batman's mask is fallen on my face. I'll just bring down. Whoa, fantastic. Now I look like a cool Batman. Let's just try and resize it a little bit better to see better, any better. I look like nice Batman, right? Batman, right? So now we have Batman, and we went through a lot of things. So what I'm thinking is, you get actually like tools if you realize it. Okay, just the first time, slowly, as you look and you start practicing realizing things. You start seeing right. I delve into how. So that pretty much is seeing, whereas white, whatever part is white, is making it opaque. So this is a part where you're not being able to see through what actually is there. Read more about this. I don't want to delve too much into theory. Things like use so that you guys can become Batmans on your own. Okay, we made this. What else? What else can we do? Okay, maybe I want to change the color of the Batman mask to maybe like a red. Okay, I'm a happy Batman, right? So what I'm going to do is here you can add something called adding adjustment layers. Okay, so you go here and you click on this. This is called an adjustment layer. An adjustment layer, another layer, it without actually having on the main layer, I'll be able to add some effects. Okay, without AFF, I'll be able to add some effects to it and adjustment. I can make adjustment to it without actually affecting the data. And an adjustment layer acts exactly on the layer below it. Okay, so I click on adjustment layer. I'll take a solid color. We said we want to go with the red, no? Or maybe like, how about, let's go with the pink. Let's go with the pink Batman. The entire thing, right? But I don't want to fill the entire thing. I just want to fill it on this. So what I'm going to do is link this adjustment layer, click on this, and I click, wait a second. Just a second, guys. Adjustment layer, solid color, pink. Okay. On a pink, create a clipping mask. And now we have, okay, what it is, you click on, after you did this, you create clipping mask. Okay, I hope you saw what I did. After I made the solid click create clipping mask, and it clips that mask. And now I have a pink color mask. This looks like someone's done it on paint. Maybe you can adjust the opacity. Okay, oh okay, now this is getting a little bit better. We have like a pinkish purplish looking mask on Batman, and you get to see this. Okay, you get like, I got a pinkish Batman. Fantastic. Batman looks pretty happy. He's got a new pink mask. He's super happy. So now we've covered a lot of things. We've covered selection. We have covered layers. We've covered adjustment layers. We've covered masks, clipping masks. So far, I hope you got something out of it. Okay. All right. Another thing, you can add so many. There are different types. Okay. So the first few, these are called your fill layers. Then you also have your your adjustment layers. You can adjust the price of, say, Batman. When I click on curves, for example, go back. I go to Batman's body. Click on this. Click on now. Maybe make Batman everything really bright, or I'm gonna make it a little darker. Okay, I like this. This looks more like me. The other one, I think, while taking the image, was not. It was a little blown out. So I'm gonna go with something like this. Curves, can edge layers, black and white. So adding all these different layers, it's all possible. You can even adjust different things. Now I look like a different Batman. So play around with this color, see how it is. Okay. Again, I'm clicking Control C because this is not what I want to do. It'll be fun to do that. Cool. So I hope you guys have got a basic understanding of what this is. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add something called a background to it. And this background, I'm going to have like so there are different ways you can add background. Right now, we have like a white background, but the white background is kind of boring for me. So let me have like a color to it. For color, you have the paint bucket tool. Like I told you, it's very similar to paint, right? I go here, I choose a color. Let me choose maybe blue. And I just click on this. What happened here? Click on blue. Don't forget to click OKs. Like I said, click OK. Now it's saved here as the foreground color. Now when I click it, I have the blue background. Okay. But this is not what I want. I'm like, hey, this blue is also starting to get really boring. Maybe add some dynamism to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to use something called a gradient. Remember how I told you when you click on the triangle, you'll get different types of features within one of the tools. I click on the long, I get, okay. And the shortcut key is D. So if I'm here, I can click D and it goes directly. But for now, I'm going to make it blue, but I'm going to make a gradient blue. Okay. Now, how do you select your gradients? Once you click on the gradient tool, I go here. You have different types of gradients. You can select them. There are some presets that are already there. There are blues, etc. Maybe I'll go with something a little this. How about this? Let me go with this. Okay. Now I have, okay, but this is not very obvious. Let's watch what a gradient can do. So here a gradient is basically a transparent colors. It merges, it slowly, there's a gradient slowly merges to the other. So that's what this gradient is. Within your different gradients, okay, you can have a radial gradient, angulated gradient, you can have a reflected gradient, diamond gradient, different ways on how you can do it. Very accessible. This, you have this like this, what do you call it, like an anchor, or what, like a shooting cursor looks something like your target is like that, shows that the gradient. Now I click on it and drag it aside, and now I have a radial gradient with a purple center, the blue. If I instead wanted to make it like a linear gradient, I start from the left, make it purple, make it blue here, right? If I wanted purple on the right side, I can click here and I side. I like this. Let me start from here to here. Okay, this is good. Subtle, and I have to do gradients. How I'll get back into what layer style is also. So we have done is we have select brush, very straightforward, right? Which is right here. I'm gonna call myself designer Elson. So here you can brush, you can add. We already brush actually where we did the on him, right? Why didn't the mustache happen here? Because I've not selected here, and now blue mustache. I hope you're getting it. It's too much. So I went through grading, went through paint. The other things you can, I'll let you explore all of this. Blurring, basically, I can just blur particular areas within my face. I can make it blur, etc. See, I'm going to blur put certain aspects of it. So you can see that you can increase the hardness, you can increase the strength. And one about Photoshop is when you click on, you don't need to actually choose through this way or click down and do it. You can actually drag left and right and it'll actually change values. Okay, cool. So we went to blurring. That's pretty much it. Now we have pen tool and the tool, and finally explain little layer styles, and we're pretty much done. Okay, so almost done. We're pretty much ready to start your day one of Photoshop, guys. So let's do what the pen tool is, because that's takes a little bit more. Now the pen tool, Adobe has pretty much come up with an entire software just for the pen tool, and that's your Adobe Illustrator. Okay, so the difference most people say between within Adobe Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator is the use of pen tool, where Adobe Illustrator just goes crazy with the pen tool and allows you to do a lot of things. You can do a lot of those things here, but if you really want to get into logo designing and creating, vector art, etc., Illustrator is a better way to go about it. But if you know the basics here, you'll be able to use that here. Now, what do I mean by pen tool? I'm going to have, before what we tried to do with the lasso and by drawing, what happened is, it was very freehand. If I had like a graphic tablet, great, but without that, I don't have much control, right? And the selection here was not that perfect, correct? But what happened is, what if I wanted to make the selection a lot more better? Or if I wanted to do something else, if I want to just select or just maybe draw, let's do it, because we have already covered selection. I'll show you how you can do selection, but maybe I want to draw something. Okay, so maybe what do I want to draw? Let me try and draw the Batman symbol. Okay, maybe let me try and draw the Batman symbol so I can add a logo here. Okay, logo to this designer Elson Batman. So what I can do is I go here, I click on this, and I'm going to start drawing. Freehand pen tool, freeform pen tool, sorry, where I can literally just draw very similar to what we did there with the lasso, where you draw it. I draw it. And when I leave, it gets in the form of a pen selection with anchor points. These squares are called anchor points. I'll explain what that is. Okay. But here, what I'm going to do is with the pen tool, what you need to master is how you actually control the pen tool. Okay. So when you're using the pen tool, there are two options here. Okay. One is shape and one is path. Because I'm creating a logo directly, I'm going to make it in the form of a shape. When I click at a shape, it'll get automatically in the form of a smart object. So let's start. Let me try and make this logo in the form of a shape. Give me a second. Let's try and draw it. Okay. So how you start? Click on one. You get an anchor. One second. Sorry, guys. What's happening is because I don't have the face selected. I'm just going to go here. Okay. This layer is fine. I click. Sorry. One second. Something's wrong. What's wrong? Why is my... Oh, okay. Sorry. I have freeform selected. Click on the pen tool, click on gradient. Okay, now I can start. Okay, click, and now I have established an anchor point. Now if I click again, just another, trying to draw Batman, but you can already see this is not doing that great because it's so blocky, right? And how you end a selection is there's like a circle that comes in and it comes. So now I made like a selection, but this does not really look like a Batman, right? I don't want exactly this. I want something better, right? We made the shape okay, but always better. So what we're going to do is, and see, once I've actually able to, I can move it. It's an independent shape. Here's a shape. Cool. But I maybe add curves in some areas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you another capability of your pen. Click on the pen tool, click, and when you click on the second part, don't let your hand go. Okay. So what that means. So I'm gonna click here, and when you're going, I'm gonna keep it. Okay, and now I can curve it. If you've used a Corel Draw, it's very common. Adobe Illustrator, they all use this. Okay, now I'm gonna start a design, and I'm gonna start just hopefully remember the Batman logo looks like. Okay, now here's another problem. The circular form, sorry, where it goes circular, here it goes back in a direction. Click Alt, and this extension that we have is basically giving you a hint of how the curve will proceed. When you click on Alt and you click on that, it ends that curve. And now okay, it ends that. And now when I go here, I have another that goes in that direction. Like that. That's too thick. What is it? So click on it and go here. Okay. Maybe a little bit more. Sorry. Click down. I end that curve. This takes a lot. If showing it really quick, get overwhelmed. Please don't get overwhelmed. I just want to show you the tool. I wanted to, briefly run you what is actually possible. Okay. Now I'm gonna end this again. End the curve. Click on it again. Now I go back. Okay. And I have to end it because go back and it's not going like this. Then I probably go in that. I don't have it. I can use direction, but I need to remove it. So now what you have to do is I click on the Alt again. I close it. I come here again. I have another one. Okay, fantastic. Again, I'm going to click go here. Okay. Again, end it. Now do a normal curve. Okay. Maybe like that. No. Let's do as well as we can. Okay. I'll make this a little better. Sorry. Yeah. Maybe let me. No. So let me try it here. Alt. Maybe go a little bit better. Sorry. This will actually start to practice. Okay, I'm starting to talk to myself. That will be really complicated for you guys. But okay, this is what I meant. Okay, this circle that comes at the end is basically closing the shape. Okay, closing the shape. Cool. So yeah, exactly. You can show you guys. What you want to do is try as many tools as possible. That's what I'm this introduce you to the different possible on shop. Okay. Okay, that was good. Now a little fat. Okay, like something. In fact, I stopped looking at the chest midway. Just for reference. It's much better than this guy, the square one, right? We were able to curve. Now we have a logo. I still want to take the maybe on like one corner. Let's put it on the bottom. All right. I have logo on the bottom corner. This one I can delete. So delete. Just click on the backspace. One second, sorry. Click on that layer. Okay. Okay. We're all. I'm going to show you one last entry. I want to add a little bit. We add a stroke to this logo. So this FX, which is basically a layer style. Click on layer style. You have stroke. You can add a shadow. You can add bevel. It looks like a brickish. There's this called neoformism in design. It's different. You can add a glow. You can add a drop shadow. Very commonly used. Color or gradient overlay used. Now you see. Now I'm adding a gray Batman. Click on it. How the gradient stops. This will allow you to change color. Okay. This will allow you to in the opacity of that. Here what I've done is added a overlay. I add a stroke. A stroke is basically just an outline. The thickness of the stroke can differ. All of these things. Different options. How do you change? Go on the stroke option. Click increase that. Maybe let's make it yellow. Stroke on a Batman. Okay. So different. Do play this. Okay. So now this much is done. We have a drop shadow. What's a drop shadow? I'm actually adding a cool. You've added behind it. Very commonly used. You can add multiple drop shadows by clicking on the plus. Right now there is so different kind of things. Globally the same thing. Sometimes you can change things. Okay, so play around with these things. I don't want to just keep cancel. Yes, we have okay-ish stuff. I hope I get it. Right now you can do it. How you improve is through practice, and you get really good. Final thing that I want to cover in today's session is typography, text, typography. First, using text. It's small things that I want to cover. That's why I'm going to put some time into like 5 minutes. And you can even just type T, and once you click on any part of the text box. Now I Batman. Excuse us, Batman. Cool. So this is to Instagram. We all probably have Arial. I'm pretty sure everyone has Arial. So we have Arial, and this we have written as I am Batman. I don't want this color, so I can change the color of Batman of the title. Okay. And okay, now you see, like, it's so closely attached together. There are three concepts that I want you guys to take note of. One is leading, the second one is kerning, and the third one is tracking. Okay, write them down. Leading. It's spelled as Leading, but it's pronounced is leading. The second thing is tracking, which is spelled Tracking. And the third concept that we have to cover is kerning, which is Kerning. Now I'll explain what these three different things are. Okay, so we went through leading, tracking, and kerning. How do you play around with it? Sometimes it's actually beneficial to actually do it. You'll probably see in a lot of designs when you're making logo designs, etc., you actually have letters attached to each other. Here, what I'm not going to do that. I'm just trying to make it very readable. There's a very important concept of readability and legibility. Uh, Probably read about that. Okay, take notes and see what is readability, what is legibility. But here, what we've done is we've done I am Batman. I've increased the leading here. Okay, this is fine for me. Now what I want to do is I want to make, this I am Batman is like so spread across, like each of these letters are so spread across. I don't want that. So I'm going to make it a little bit more closer. And you can even do it individually. You can probably make another text layer where let Batman, be close, and let the others be fine. Okay, so you can play around with this. That's a concept that you can do. Okay, now what's kerning? Okay, so what's the difference between kerning and tracking? Tracking is for all the letters, whereas if you want to adjust the distance between, say, two letters, I don't want it to be Batman, I'm going to do I am Batman, right? Here what you do is you just click between the two letters, and now you can adjust the kerning. This is adjusting the kerning. Now I have made I am Bat, I am Man, or I am Batman. Three important concepts, very important. Someone said I'm mute. What the fuck? Am I mute? I'm not mute. Am I mute? Can you guys hear? You guys can't hear me? No, you can hear. Hey, don't scare me, man. I didn't take all this trouble for nothing. Okay, fantastic. I hope you guys are following, guys. Okay. Anyways, what I've done is this third concept that I introduced is kerning, where you're basically just changing the distance between two letters. Maybe let's see. When you hover over it, ideally you're supposed to, like, Photoshop does a pretty good job of explaining these things. Usually when you like hover over the tools, you'll be able to see what they're actually talking about. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Set the kerning between two characters. Okay. It's basically when you're dealing with two characters, the space between two characters. Okay, guys, play around with this. I'm just showing you the two. Now, one last concept in typography that you'll need to know. This form of writing, where the first letter is capital, the normal is others and in small. This is like how you write your normal English that when you write in school, etc. That is your sentence case. Okay. Then if you want all of them to be caps lock, you can use it as uppercase, right? This is called uppercase, all caps or uppercase. You can maybe add italics. Italic means it goes slanting. You want to maybe strike through. Okay, maybe I'm not Batman. Maybe I'm not Batman. So you can have a strike through. You can have an underline. You can have different cool features. Okay, so you can play around with all of these things. Just wanted to show you all of this. Another concept is of weights. Maybe I'm not bat. I'm man. Okay, so I'm gonna do that. I am man. So, and I want to make man really huge. So I'm gonna here and I'm gonna make this is called the weight of your font. So I'm gonna click black, and now man is like really huge. So I am man. Cool. So play around with this, and how you actually decide what to do, when to do, that's a topic of something else later on. Okay. The art of designing, and see what when you probably see you start observing design, you'll probably see like some designers maybe make, they want to focus on man a lot, so then they will reduce the size of these things. Okay, they might reduce the size. I am may not, they might not put too much importance to it. This is one thing that you can do. Maybe they want to show man with a little bit more prominence. So what they probably do is they probably color man in a certain color. Okay. And then see now it's starting to look more cooler. But I want to, still put more prominence so you can block out man. I'll take a square. I'm adding a shape. Okay, different shapes are possible. I'll take a rounded rectangle maybe, or here maybe. Okay, let's see what a rounded rectangle looks like. And I'm going to block out that text. I'm going to make the man stand out even more by putting in an opposite color. Now there's a concept of complementary colors, and complementary colors actually usually go well. So for example, with blue, a nice complementary color would be yellow. Okay, I take yellow, something bright, click on this, and I draw a box around it. Okay, but this box is hiding it. Why? Because this rounded rectangle is behind I am Batman, so you bring it below. Now my man is standing out really well, right? Cool. So these are just different ways for you to put emphasis on where you want, right? I want people to focus on man a lot. So I reduce the size of I am, then I slowly started to increase the emphasis on man. How is this important? I'll show you. In marketing, this comes in very important because in an ad, you basically have like 5-10 seconds to gather the person's attention, and you want to do it in the best way possible, in the quickest way possible, right? So when I look at this, I quickly look at this creative. Like imagine you're looking at this creative for the first time, and if you want to focus on the word man, it gives me that, right? I have been able to add emphasis to man through different ways. All right, I think that pretty much sums it up, guys. So what I wanted to just show in today's lecture, today's session, was how you can actually play around with it. If you want to make like a carousel and have like explain about these things, what you can do is you click on this, click on this, and you click on layer, duplicate artboard, carousel copy, and now I have another copy. And here now I don't want to talk too much. They already know that I'm Batman, so I'm probably going to put some other text here. So I'm going to delete this. I'm going to delete this. Okay. How you can actually find really cool fonts? Go to Google Fonts. It's free. You can do whatever you want there. It's really useful. Uh, fonts.google.com. Once you go on fonts.google.com, you can do pretty much whatever you want. You can choose whatever font. Roboto is a very common font. I mean, Google uses Roboto himself. You can find these different fonts, click on them. You can download them. Then you can download the family, entire family. So family is basically, they'll show you different weights and different designs. Then you can install them, different features, play around with the fonts, see what you like. You want to use a Hindi font, you want to use a handwriting font, whatever, right? Find different fonts, play around with that. Here I'm sticking to basic Arial. I click on it. I am really, I love design. I love my mask. I love my new mask. Okay. Let me resize it because it's too big. Getting out of the screen. I love my new mask. What's the size here? It's 73. So let's make the 73 too. All right. Oh yeah. Here I want it to be more like a paragraph. So maybe I'll just reduce the leading a little bit. Character. Select the whole thing. Reduce the leading. I don't want the underline anymore. Maybe I don't want even uppercase. Maybe something like this is really cool. Yeah, this looks fine. So now this is where you can talk about it. You can write a paragraph if you want. You can. One other thing that you can do is how it becomes an actual carousel is, for example, see here, because the gradient is there, it's very obvious that it's not. Let's do this. Let's find this gradient. Let's start from here to here. Now it looks like it's transitioning a little bit more. And let me remove maybe this guy. I don't want this Batman on this one. Okay. And I don't want the logo here. How I'll do it is I'll probably take this and I'll increase the size of this. So it transforms into both. If you want to do this, click on OK. Fine. Duplicate it, make a new layer. Now I'm moving quite fast. Okay, shape to copy. Now if you see on the layers panel, there are 2 artboards. Okay, I'm just moving fast. I know it's confusing, but let's just get the point across. Here what I do is, so this is how you would do like a carousel. Cool. So in this carousel, now when you look at it on Instagram, you'll see like the logo, it swipes through the other screen. So you can do whatever. You can have a motion where half the body's here, half the body's there. So different things are possible. Okay, guys, let's wrap things up. How do you finally save it? Go here, file, export. I just usually, you can export it as any kind of file, JPEG, PNG, whatever you want. I just do a quick export as PNG because that's what I usually use. And now I'm going to save it on my desktop. What was I today? I was designer Elson, right? Designer Elson as Batman. Save, select folder, whatever. Oh, it's not there. Let me just choose any. Photo shoot. Okay, no, I'll put it on Docker. Select folder. Oh, we had actually named the file Discord session. Fine, whatever. So yeah, that's about it, guys. I know it was pretty one way, but I hope you guys understood anything. Someone's asking me to upload it. No, I can't. This is super embarrassing. I think people will throw rocks at me if they see this. But okay, guys, I don't know how many people are actually there on the session, but I hope you guys picked up something from today's session. Were able to learn something. Did you get like the first time that, I mean, I hope like for the first time you actually opened Photoshop and went through it. I'm going to stop sharing now. I hope you got, to pick up a lot of these tools and things like that. If you like the session, let me know how it went. It's pretty much it. So yeah, that'll probably, I'll probably maybe conduct another session later on or whatever. But yeah, hope you guys picked up something. Yeah. All right, guys. I have to head out for another meeting. We started 1 o'clock, 1.5 hours. In 1.5 hours, you guys were able to pick up pretty much quite a really cool bit of Photoshop, right? Not bad at all. Let me know, guys. So yeah, if it would be great, I'd love it if you could just maybe tell me how you like the session. Maybe just put it here, DM or whatever. Yeah, maybe put it here, whatever. Tell me how you like the session. Was it useful? Did you learn something? Okay. One of the reasons why I did actually conduct this session, because usually on my Instagram, I get like a lot of requests where people tell me things like, I want to see how different careers look like. Right. That's when yesterday night I was just sitting and I was like, maybe I should just do it. Where I keep like delaying it, where people were like, I want to know how a designer looks like, what a doctor's career looks like, what a marketer's career looks like, what a carpenter's career looks like. For those of you who don't know, like I've had the good fortune of being able to, explore different career paths in this short period of time. So because of that, I thought when I was 18, I was super confused. I was really lost, and I wished people were there who would tell me. And one of the things that happens is when you're in your 11th and 12th grade, what happens is you don't know how a career looks like, right? I mean, you might want, like, I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be a digital artist, but then I was like, bro, if I want to be a digital artist, but I want to know what a digital artist actually does, right? Does he do Photoshop? What does Photoshop actually do, and what exactly happens in these sessions? If I had someone who actually told me, hey, this is how Photoshop is, and this is how your career would look like, and these kind of things, that would have made a lot of difference. And maybe, so that's one of the reasons I decided to have like the session, like a day one of how medicine looks like, a day one of how dentistry looks like, a day